So far in the rebooted Planet of the Apes franchise, two of the most evil villains come in the form of Koba and Proximus Caesar, two bonobo apes, both of whose reigns of evil were marked by selfish ambition, cruelty, and tyranny. But as we'll see, Proximus Caesar could be argued to be more evil than Koba, which is no light statement as Koba himself was guilty of several atrocities, and in this video we'll explore several reasons why, the first of which would be the treatment of their fellow apes. In Koba's time, due to the current war with the humans, he would never have attacked or enslaved other apes to the great extent that Proximus is guilty of, attacking and destroying other ape colonies before assimilating and subjugating their citizens into his clan. Now, of course, you could make the argument that this is circumstantial, that Koba might have done the same as Proximus if he lived in the same era of time that he did. Yes, it's true that both Koba and Proximus are guilty of having little regard for the lives of other apes, but I submit that Koba, being less ambitious and more simplistic in his goals, still has a chance of not turning out to be as tyrannical as how Proximus did, which brings us to the second point, that of the level of their ambition. Koba's overflowing hatred of humans causes him to want nothing to do with them, least of all to follow in their footsteps of technology and history. He did use firearms in his war against the humans, but that was to even the odds of the battle. If he had his way, it's likely that Koba would have destroyed all human technology out of his hatred for them and lived a more primitive life. Proximus, on the other hand, demonstrates a keen interest in adopting the past technology of humans in his supposed next step of evolution, a step which would most certainly entail more death and destruction of both apes and humans. As his name suggests, Proximus finds his identity as being an emulation of Julius Caesar of Rome, and this can only spell a foreboding sense of dread to the apes under him if Julius Caesar's pattern of hubris were to be followed. Rome may have the historical image of a powerful kingdom, but it's one that's stained by the notion of slavery, suffering, and subjugation by military force. Also, by keeping humans such as Trevethan and May alive and close to him, Proximus is running the risk, no matter how small, that humans still have a fighting chance of overtaking the planet as the dominant species again. Next, we move on to their level of self-centeredness. Again, both Koba and Proximus are serving their own interests above that of anyone else, but it's a sure sign of narcissistic self-absorption when Proximus exalts himself as a ruler to be worshipped and revels in the admiration of his followers. Every day is undoubtedly a wonderful day when you're in the position of luxury that Proximus enjoys. Koba, on the other hand, is more of a military leader and wouldn't be seen indulging in such ego-stroking. What makes Proximus especially dangerous is the level of magnetic charisma that he exudes, which he shrewdly uses to his advantage to garner the loyalty or compliance of his subjects, subjects whom he would discard without a moment's hesitation should they serve his advancement. If pride is the distance between how you see yourself compared to how you see others, then given the extent that he exalts himself, it's safe to say that Proximus must see his fellow apes as very much beneath him, even lower than how Koba views his peers, which accounts for his cruel treatment of them. Moving on, we can look at how both Koba and Proximus affect the legacy of Caesar, the first intelligent ape. Now, of course, both of them are in violation of Caesar's principles, whether it's ape not kill ape or apes together strong. But we can easily see that Proximus has deviated much further than Koba in terms of these original ape principles. As I mentioned earlier, Proximus has even less regard for the lives of his fellow apes than Koba does, and yet he hypocritically declares apes together strong when he is responsible for the murder and collapse of ape colonies everywhere. Koba may have attempted the actual murder of Caesar, but which one is worse, to kill a person or to distort and twist their legacy to the point where it becomes an abomination and a disgrace to their memory? If Caesar could see the extent to which his principles had been degenerated, he would be turning in his grave, so to speak. Ultimately, when we come down to it, the main difference between Koba and Proximus, the difference that accounts for the increased levels of evil, would be their state of advancement. Koba is still primitively early in the stages of ape development, while Proximus is several hundred years more advanced. And this should come as no surprise as we find a mirror in human history, where the more advanced a civilization becomes, the greater its propensity for more horrific atrocities. Nonetheless, for the reasons elaborated earlier, Proximus can be said to be more evil than Koba.